Hello guys and welcome to my first video of HTML, which will be a really basic video that I will explain what HTML is and how web works. First of all, HTML is one of the free programming languages that most of the time, not to say always, is used to create what is called the front end of a web application. What does it mean, front end? The front end is the part of the web page that the client see, and so that is downloaded on the browser, on the computer of your client, of the user of the web page. For example, in this page, this part is what is the front end, is the client side, but there is much more that runs on the server of Visual Studio Code company, which we cannot access to, but that is vital for the application in itself to run. Okay, so the first one is HTML, the second is JavaScript and CSS. Here they compare HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. The HTML, like the skeleton of a body, JavaScript, the neurons, and the CSS, the skin and the outside, the exterior part. And is exactly what it is, because HTML gives what is the imagination of a web page. It defines the space, where the letters are, where the text is written and how is written, etc. But it doesn't define the colors, or it doesn't define the colors or the styling of the web page, which is then described using CSS. Last, JavaScript gives the web page its dynamism. If a web page needs to be dynamic, to change dynamically, and to make some change according to the user interaction, JavaScript must be there. So it's always there in a way, no? And these are what is the front end. On the back end, other programming languages, which generally is PHP, Python, or Java, which is not JavaScript. There is Java and there is JavaScript, or others. I don't want to talk too much about it. Comes into play, organizing what is the database, or filtering what the user inputs inside. For example, a login platform, and sending the data back and forth to the database. Finish of the quick introduction. One last thing I must say is that JavaScript can run both on the is meant to run on the client side, but can run on the server side using Node.js. And that's it. Anyway, we're talking about HTML. Another thing that I must say, for those who doesn't know, is how web work, because probably I said a lot of things that maybe they are not really understandable until you understand how people interact with the web pages. Here there is a small picture that explains it. We have a browser, which is our computer, which has access to internet, and so can interact with web pages using HTTP requests. So in fact, probably you already know that this the URL of the pages is written http //www because it's an HTTP. It runs through an HTTP protocol, or an HTTPS because it's secure, but this is not important. What's important is that this HTTP request goes from the browser to a server, which is what is the backbone of every web application, and the server looks at the HTTP request that has a headers, etc., and gives an HTTP response with a content. For example, you make an HTTP request writing on Facebook that your name is Paolo and your password is password, then the server says yes, is right, and so it gives you a response and make you access to a higher privileged page where you have your profile. Otherwise, it says no, it's not true. It's not true. You're not Paolo because your password isn't right. This is how it works. So now we are creating what is the client side, what everybody can see with HTML, and then other people or with other programming languages, you can create the logic of the server. It doesn't mean that HTML is simpler than PHP or Python. Some people use HTML, some people use Python. Anyway, my suggestion is that web graphic is one of the not simplest, but is the more intuitive. And so, if I should start with something, I started using web graphic. I suggest you to do the same. In fact, I suggest you to start looking at my HTML code, HTML tutorial, then to have a look at the CSS tutorial, and then to have a look at JavaScript tutorial. This is how I meant my code to be done. Then I will create also PHP. I will upload it on YouTube, also PHP, which of course you can see PHP on its own. It doesn't mean anything if you think that is right for you. But what I meant is to follow these steps. Okay, anyway, moving on to really what is HTML and how we can write HTML. To write HTML, we just need a text editor, any kind of text editor. So you could really even use your notepad, and we give what is called the markup. So every HTML has its HTML tag. Then we have the body. Then we have, in this case, we have H1. It doesn't matter if you don't understand what I'm doing. We will understand it later. And then we can write, for example, my first web page. Okay. Then we close each tag. Every tag that are inside HTML has to be closed, opened and closed. Apart some that we will see, but there are few exceptions to this rule. Generally, you must open and close the tags, and that's it. Now okay. Now I close this. Now I created this page. I save my file to desktop. I call it HTML. Let me call HTML page, and with extension HTML. So salva come documento di testo, no, as html.html. Okay, we save it. Okay, now it's saved. I go into my desktop. As you can see here, we have HTML page.html, and it already has the icon of Google Chrome, which gives you a hint. Anyway, we open it, and as you see, it opens on the browser, because this is how it's meant to be. And here is written that it's the folder it belongs to, because of course it can't appear on the internet. Anyway, as you see, we created a web page with using only the notepad. Anyway, of course, nobody uses a notepad to create a web page, because there are better tools. They are called IDE, which are integrated development environment. I suggest you to use Visual Studio Code. I will use Visual Studio Code all the time. Anyway, there are others. I'm not saying that this is the best and only. Uh, anyway, I don't even show you how to download Visual Studio Code because I already downloaded it, and is a normal download. You download the executable and then download the Visual Studio. And this will give us the markup, highlighting and highlighting markup, correction of the code if something is wrong, and all this, you can see this functionality is really made for this. And as you see, we can even have some extension available to be installed. The debugger, okay. Of course, we need this tool to really develop. We start a new file right now here. We start a new file right now. I want to say the every main file, because of course web pages has more pages, not the main page. Then maybe there is the login page, the page where there is the gallery. I don't know. The main page is called index.html. Is a convention that everybody uses. And last, to quickly create the first markup, because of course we don't start doing HTML. We could, but it's not really. Of course, there is a shortcut, which is control sign tab. Okay, you can figure it out. I don't know how to show you which are the right bottoms. Then it appears this. It appears this page. I will explain every tag. What does it mean? The last thing I want to tell you is about this doc type HTML, which seems to be just a useless thing, and in a way it is like an old thing that has never disappeared, but not totally, because this makes the browsers compatible with your code. So it can, if this is not here, you might in some browsers, since your web page, once is on the internet, can be accessed through every sort of browser: Safari, Mozilla Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Google, Opera, anything you want. Maybe if it doesn't have this, there is a possibility that maybe on one of those, but probably maybe Internet Explorer or Opera, one of those less used now, is not compatible and it doesn't load. So you should remember to put this inside your chat. You should. It's better that you know that this exists and there is a way, there is a reason, because too. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. We will keep going in the next one, and see you again. Bye bye.